इसराइल और पैलेस्टीन के वॉर को लगभग 24 दिन पूरे हो चुके हैं और काफी ज्यादा कैजुअलिटीज दोनों तरफ से हुई है। और ज्यादा बातचीत करने के लिए इस समय हमारे साथ इसराइल के काउंसलर कोई भी सुशानी सर है, उनसे बात करते हैं। सर, once again welcome to News18 India. So my first question is 24th day of war. What is the current conditions of Israel?
Right now, all south of Israel is clear from terrorists, and we are controlling the south part of Israel completely. Still, there is air missiles coming from Gaza once in a while, but Israeli troops already entered to Gaza Strip, starting the second phase of the war against these brutal terrorists and a war against this Hamas terror organization.
So you are talking about the second phase. So second phase will be the more aggressive in the comparison of first phase.
The second phase is right now after stabilizing and be prepared and giving all the opportunities to the other side, to all the civilians especially, to go down to the south part of Gaza. We will start our ground maneuvering into Gaza in order to catch and to clear the terrorist camps, the terrorist groups and the terrorist centers. This is our second. Of course, it's a little bit. It's a war. It's a war, as we mentioned in the right beginning. It's a war, and we are already inside the field, doing our best to eliminate these brutal terrorists.
So how much time it will take? Because the Russia-Ukraine war is almost a year or more than a year. How much time it will take between Israel and this Palestinian war?
I think that our government, our prime minister, and all the cabinet, the war cabinet that actually running the war right now, talking about a long battle. It's a long battle because to eliminate the danger to the state of Israel and what we saw in the recent weeks, what's happened when these brutal terrorists coming and touching civilians, touching kids, elderly people, women, and citizens in the south part of Israel. This is something that we cannot accept, never, ever. And it's going to take time. I don't know if it's going to be in the same scale, but definitely we have to reach our aim, which Hamas will not control Gaza Strip anymore. That's it. That's very, very clear.
So there's a lots of attack from your side in Gaza. Some of the hospitals are also attacked. Islamic countries are saying that Israelis are attacking the civilians. Now the Western countries also saying that Israelis are attacking the civilians.
First of all, we are not attacking right now any hospital. The only hospital that was attacked was by Palestinian. The jihad, the Islamic Jihad, that sent a rocket towards Israel and fell down by coincidence. It was not, by the way, it was not a big damage as they try to describe it. Definitely we are not attacking a hospital, but in the hospital, in the main hospital of Gaza, there are terrorists hiding behind the patient. And they are underground in the tunnels waiting. They know, and they said in a very clear voice that they know that Israel will not attack the hospital. That's the reason that they are going down the hospital to hide. They leave the population above and they are hiding down. This is something that it's very normal. We know this situation for many, many years. Hamas doesn't care about its own population. He cares about his own leadership and fighters. And I tell you more than that. Some of the Hamas leaders, they are not in Gaza. They are already in other countries in the world. They are hiding and leave sometimes these terrorists to be alone, and sometimes the population to be alone. But we are not attacking any. It's a lot of lies, a lot of fake news coming from Gaza. That's part of the propaganda that we are used to have. But that's it. We have to face everything. But they, as I always said, they started a war against the state of Israel, against our kids, against our children, against our wife and our families.
So civilians are killing both the countries. I mean, Israel also and Gaza also. That's why the Western countries also saying that Israelis are attacking the civilians, especially in the hospitals.
I again say that, of course, in a war there is some cases. But the Israeli army, by definition, is the moral army in the world. By definition, number one. We try to target only terrorists. We target only, but we have to remember one thing, which is very, very important. part of these civilians voted for Hamas, were happy, and they took part of this brutal attack in Israel in the southern part. Some of these civilians, after the Hamas attack, the terrorists, they came past the border, raped, killed, stolen, and brutally acted against civilians. Then, without this hypocrisy, I think that it's something that we have to be very clear. If you want to be part of the Hamas, you have to go down to the south part of Gaza. That's the only advice that I can give them right now.
Okay. So right now also the loss of hostage situation in Gaza, lots of hundreds of people of Israelis are still in Gaza's condition, the Hamas condition. So what are the best possible way you are doing?
Thank you for the question. It's not an easy answer, and I tell you, there is a contradiction between dealing with the hostages and the ground operation. It's a big problem in Israel. Of course, Israel, the most important thing in Israel is the life, not the dead. And of course, there is a lot of voices in Israel that are calling the government to compromise. But there is the aim of the war is, we have two aims of this war: to eliminate the control of the Hamas terrorists from Gaza, and to bring these hostages back to Israel. The kids, the women, the elderly people, the families, some kids 3 years old, they are without parents. Their parents were brutally killed, slaughtered in Israel, and they are alone, 3 years, boy and girls, in Gaza. It's a very complicated situation. I think that eventually when the Hamas leaders will understand that they are going to pay the price, their own price, they will understand that they have to bring back these hostages. But it's a long and very difficult and very complicated war between Israel and this brutal terror organization.
So Hamas is saying, they are negotiating with Israel. They are saying, they are asking, release the Palestinians from the Israel, then they will release the hostages.
When you are dealing with terrorists, when you are dealing with such organization like Hamas, and we know Hamas for many, many years, they are cynical. They want to save their life. That's it. First of all, bring back all without any condition. If they want humanitarian, if they want water, if they want other supply, they first of all bring the kids, women, and elderly people back to Israel. Afterwards, we'll negotiate about the second stage. But they don't want it. They want to play a game. This is part of their propaganda, part of their psychological war.
So by any chance, Israel ready to release the Palestinians? Their demand that Israel will fulfill the Hamas demand for the Israeli citizens?
First of all, I didn't hear with Egypt and Qatar as well. They try to negotiate between that, but when it will be serious, of course, we will consider it but at the end of the day, we have to remember that Hamas should not be part of Gaza Strip. Hamas is an organization. Hamas as a military power cannot be there because we cannot live with such animals on two legs near to our borders.
Okay. So yesterday in India, there is an ID blast in Kerala. What's your reaction, sir?
First of all, I tell you, I've heard what Khaled Mashal said in front of a big sign which was uproot a bulldozer in Dutfa. That's something which is disgusting. But I tell you more than that. What we're expecting from India is something very, very clear, and I hope that they will do it, I think, to put Hamas in the list of the terrorist organization. Because what you see, what you hear in Kerala, this is something that you have to lit a red light, also in India. And they have to understand that Hamas should be under defined in India as well, like most of the country in the world, the Western country, as a terror organization. And I'm calling from this TV, and thank you very much for that, to conclude Hamas as a terror organization also in India. It's very, very important. We saw the money transferring, the funding through a different system, by cash and by bitcoins and by other possibilities. And I hope that India will do the right step and put Hamas, after, of course, this what's happened in Kerala, the voices that we've heard from Kerala, to put Hamas under this definition.
So do you think is there any connection with Khalid Mishal's take a online speech, and after that this ID blast happened? Do you think there is a connection between Hamas, then Khalid Mishal, and this Kerala ID blast?
I tell you frankly, I don't know, and I'm sure that the Indian will investigate and find it's under investigation. We don't know what is the result. Of course, we are fully support and fully believe that the Indian authority will find out the best what's happened there. I don't have any clue, I have to say.
Okay. So, do you think this Hamas terrorist is spread all over the world? Do you think this Hamas terrorist also spreading this terrorism in India also? There are, the sponsors, money, something like that.
I will answer in a very clear voice. Terrorism is not stopping Israel. Terrorism is all over the world. When you start to feed this monster, eventually you will find the monster in your courtyard. And you have to fight against terrorism, whatever it is, in any figure, in any shape that you see, by all means. Because when you feed it, when you give it the possibility to grow, and I read some of the articles about the lies and the fake news, but this is part of the Palestinian propaganda. When I see and I read the sentences, I have to say that it reminds me the same method of terrorism that was in Israel before October 7th, and we are bothered with that. And I think that even in Europe, they started to understand that these voices coming up from some of them Hamas supporters, it's very dangerous not only to Israel. We are the shield of the world in our perspective, and I think that the world, especially the moral world, especially the Western world, especially the democratic world, should understand that right now we are fighting for our freedom, for our independence, not only in Israel, all over the world, and anti-terrorism. And it's very, very important to understand it, because when you wake up, sometimes it's too late.
Okay. So my other question is, do you think that this Hamas terrorist organizations is working with ISIS organization, or they are working together, both of them?
Right now, when I see ISIS, they are looking like, a kindergarten. What's if I compare it to Hamas? What Hamas did, it's something that, and I saw some of the clips came, it's not revealed yet. It's very, very hard to show it. Really, it's really, people cannot see it. It's very, very dramatic. What we saw there, the brutal way, the slaughter of kids, burning families together, and they're taking clips of that. This is something that I think that even in ISIS I haven't seen. Hamas is ISIS, definitely. And they learn from each other. And my worry is that this inspiration coming up from Hamas will spread all over the world. This is something that we have to remember. We have to put Hamas in the list of this terror organization, like it's happening in the United States. And I think that India should do it.
So my last question is, lots of Israeli citizens are living in India also, in other part of the world also. So, did you provide the extra layer of security for your citizen? Are you asking the government to protect this Israeli citizen?
I think that we are fully confident and fully get full support from the Indian government and the Indian security forces towards our synagogues, our centers, definitely our diplomats. We are very fully support. Of course, it's not an easy times, and we are under. We have to be very alert. But I fully support and I fully believe in the Indian authorities, and I would like to thank on behalf of your channel as well to the Indian government for that.